Hello, New Wave of British Heavy Metal.com here. Today it's the 20th of January 2024. Quick usual favour to ask if I can do that, please, and that's if you would subscribe to the channel. That'd be great, big help, appreciated and whatnot. So please click the button if you would. Today, oh yes, Saxon and their latest Hellfire and Damnation. This arrived yesterday and it is a monster. Oh yes. Saxon, remain true to the old new wave of British heavy metal roots that they've got, and here we are. Say what, 50 or so years since they formed, and they're still in magnificent form. I mean, this album's just remarkably good. A quick meaningless, well, it might not be meaningless, but a quick daft analogy, because it's all I can think of at the moment. If you remember an old marketing slogan for a certain breakfast cereal, it snaps, crackles and pops. Well, that's what Hellfire and Damnation does. Well, rather snaps, crackles and rocks. I mean, it's marvellous. But before we get into that, there's the Paul Quinn conundrum. We all know that recently he retired from touring with the band, and Saxon brought in Brian Tatler from Diamond Head for touring purposes and whatnot. But perhaps now Brian's a full-time member. He's listed in the lineup in CD booklet, shown in the band photograph, and he plays all over the album. And Paul gets a mention for additional guitars on a couple of tracks, which seems to amount to a couple of solos. So I don't know if that means he's left for good or on an extended sabbatical. But either way, the Hellfire and Damnation is quite some album. Sparkles from start to finish. It's a lesson in fresh, energetic, enthusiastic, bombastic heavy metal. Holds the attention all the way through. And at around 40 minutes, I think it's 42 and change minutes running time, it really is all about quality and not quantity. And the quality is top notch. Biff Byford, his voice is as soaring and powerful as ever, and that's not bad for a bloke in his early 70s, is it? Who's been banging out this stuff for 5 decades or so. The force of nature, isn't he? Nigel Glockler's thunderous drumming continues to show, well, in my opinion at least, he's one of the finest in this genre. And of course, he's backed up as always by the throbbing bass lines of Nibs Carter. And then we've got the guitars. Wow, riffs, monster chords, cut, slash, rip aplenty. They're different on each song. There's no similarity here. Doug Scarrett and Tatler make quite a complementary duo, blazing away non-stop, taking it in turns to blitz out scorching solos on each song, with the exception of 1066, which is Brian gets a solo credit. Musically, it's an album. Well, it's a lesson. If this isn't a contradiction, controlled power. Biff's on form lyrically as well, dealing with generally historically based subject matter such as the title track, the French Revolution, the city of Sheffield, pirate radio stations, and the Battle of Hastings, to mention just a few. What certainly resonates for me are a couple of tracks in particular. Fire and Steel, that celebrates good old Sheffield steel. Because of course Sheffield, the steel city itself, at one time was world famous for its steel industry, wasn't it? And though all that's gone now, and that's sad, because I was born in Sheffield and in my youth worked in a factory for a while, and it's sad that the steel industry in Sheffield's declined, well, in the UK in general, but that's the story, so we'd better not get into that, Adric, because we're talking about Saxon. And another one that resonates, and it probably will if you're of a similar age like I am, Pirates of the Airwaves, about the old pirate radio stations like Radio Caroline, Radio Luxembourg. And as we all did back then, we'd hunker down, wouldn't we, in an evening with the old tinny transistor radio and try and pick up signals from those pirate radio ships offshore. Great times, weren't they? Getting all nostalgic now. But anyway, back to the music. It's a treat all the way through. Make no mistake. National treasure Brian Blessed hams it up as only he can, narrating the brief intro. And then it's all systems go. The title track fizzes with energy. Madame Guillotine, they've got sort of a heavy, brooding, slightly dark undertone. Fire and Steel, Fast and Furious. You know, lyrically, listening to the lyrics, I can picture my days in that factory. And anyway, I'll not get all misty-eyed any further. There's something about Roswell blazes away. Well, all the 9 tracks do. You know, there's nothing duff about this album at all. You know, even all the way through to the closer, Supercharger. I mean, that's breathlessly fast and heavy. So 50 years around since formation, 45 years I think it is since Saxon's self-titled debut album, and now, if my finger counting is correct, Hellfire and Damnation is the 24th studio album, and they still put out stuff as good as this after all that time. Quite a magnificent achievement, isn't it? And it really is a magnificent album. Do not make any mistake about that. Just go out and buy it. It's you know, stunning stuff all the way through. Fresh, upbeat, energetic, powerful, marvelous. So as always, I'll put a link in the description below so you can go out and get it in whatever format you want from Amazon. Don't forget the previous album, Carpe Diem, because that's a cracker as well. And also at the same time that this arrived yesterday, also through the letterbox came the Avenger box set of their 2 albums from the 80s, together with a disc of a previously unreleased live performance from somewhere in the States, I think it is, also in the 80s. So we've more classic Nawabum to look forward to. So I'll put up a review of that in a few days once I've spun it a few times. But in the meantime, don't miss out on Hellfire and Damnation. Saxon on top form. Marvellous, marvellous stuff. Right, so there we are. That's that. Please subscribe to this channel before you go. That would be marvellous. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and take care.